Welcome to Gun News Review. The Second Amendment will be a major focus for Democrats during the confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, which started this week. On Wednesday, Kavanaugh was asked by Senator Dianne Feinstein about his dissenting opinion in a case involving a ban on semi-automatic rifles. He argued the ban should have been found unconstitutional, citing a decision by the late Justice Antonin Scalia that only unusual weapons can be outlawed.
You're saying the numbers determine common use? Common use is an activity. It's not common storage or possession, it's use. So what you said was that these weapons are commonly used. They're not.
They're widely possessed in the United States, Senator, and they are used and possessed. But the question is, are they dangerous and unusual? They're certainly dangerous. All weapons are dangerous. Are they unusual? And given how prevalent they are in the United States, it seemed under Justice Scalia's test, and if you look at the majority opinion in McDonald, the same thing.
If all goes as Republicans plan, the 53-year-old Kavanaugh could be on the bench when the court begins its new term on October 1st. Gun owners might want to think twice about putting on that pair of Levi's. Levi Strauss and Company has joined the list of companies taking a stand for more gun control laws. The company calling for what it calls common sense legislation after numerous mass shootings in the U.S. Levi's CEO Chip Bergh this week came out in support of criminal background checks on all gun purchases and announced significant donations to support gun control advocacy groups. Bergh wrote in a column in Fortune Tuesday, quote, "We simply cannot stand by silently when it comes to the issues that threaten the very fabric of the communities where we live and work." The NRA quickly condemned the decision. Bergh pledged $1 million in grants to nonprofits working against so-called gun violence, including Everytown for Gun Safety. The NRA has released an ad against Democratic West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin's stance on gun control.
D.C. liberals oppose your gun rights.
They want to take away your Second Amendment. You see what's going on. I don't think you want your Second Amendment played with.
And Joe Manchin is part of the problem.
Joe Manchin always voted for Obama, and I like Joe, but Joe doesn't vote for us.
The National Rifle Association gives Joe Manchin a grade of D.
We must elect Patrick Morrissey. We need him.
The NRA Institute for Legislative Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
In 2012, the NRA had endorsed Manchin, but he's fallen in the NRA's ratings as he worked with Pennsylvania Democratic Senator Pat Toomey to expand federal background checks, though their legislation has failed repeatedly in the Senate. The boss of Toronto's police union has come out against a proposal to ban handguns in an effort to battle rising crime and murders. Toronto Police Association President Mike McCormick told the Toronto Sun a handgun ban would fail to stop Toronto's violence and murders. He said he'd support anything that would have an impact, but a ban wouldn't get to the core of the issue, adding, a municipal government banning handguns will have zero impact. Toronto Mayor John Tory disagreed, continuing his demand for a handgun ban in the city, which is something Prime Minister Trudeau is considering for the whole country. Florida State University is being sued again by a gun rights group over the school's guns on campus policy. Florida Carry contends the university's student conduct code wrongfully prohibits the open possession of long guns in a vehicle unless they are concealed. The school says it doesn't comment on pending litigation. Florida Carry sued Florida State in 2015 after the school's football game day guide inaccurately said football fans could not stow guns in cars when attending games. An appeals court partly sided with the university but had issues with the student conduct code, which sparked the latest lawsuit. You're listening to Gun News Review. The Las Vegas Review-Journal reports city officials are mulling a ban on objects at protests that could be considered potential weapons. The Las Vegas City Council on Tuesday approved putting the proposed ordinance up for a future vote. Under the ban, such things as bats, aerosol sprays, and chains would be prohibited at any rallies, demonstrations, or pickets, but it would not extend to firearms. Las Vegas police requested the ban. In California, the Healdsburg City Council has voted to limit firearms sales to industrial and commercial zones outside the downtown area. The council created 500-foot buffer zones elsewhere around schools, churches, parks, and similar land uses. The decision was a result of public outcry over a 2017 decision to allow a retail firearms store to open downtown next to a toy store. The public fallout pushed the city to enact 2 urgency moratoriums prohibiting firearms sales anywhere in the city until a zoning ordinance update could be developed. The U.S. Special Operations Command has ordered more Mk-46 and Mk-48 light machine guns from FN America of Columbia, South Carolina. The Department of Defense says the $13.5 million contract is for an undisclosed number of guns in support of SOCOM. The majority of the manufacturing will be done in South Carolina, with other work performed in Belgium. The order is expected to be completed by August 2023. And a squirrel hunter in Iowa apparently mistook his brother for one of the creatures. Officials in Webster County say a 55-year-old man was shot by his 50-year-old brother at a state park on opening day of squirrel season. Officials believe it was an accident. The injured man, who was shot in the upper body, was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. You've been listening to Gun News Review, comprehensive and concise.